Hello and happy Wednesday. So for today's video, I will be giving you the 10 things that amaze me about perfect eyesight. I was inspired to make this video by Molly Burke. She did a video very similar, however she is completely blind, whereas I still have some eyesight. So I thought that it would be just an interesting video to give my own list because it will be slightly different than hers. So jumping right into it, I have the list here on my phone. The first thing that amazes me about perfect eyesight is people's ability to cheat off of the person next to them. It's a common saying that teachers say, keep your eyes on your own paper, because people tend to look over and steal answers or compare answers, and if I even tried to look at the person's paper next to me, there is no way I would be able to cheat off of them unless I was like actually sitting in their desk looking at their paper very closely, which would just be a dead giveaway. So I do not have that ability to cheat off the person next to me, even if I wanted to, and it amazes me that people can. I've had a lot of classes with my sisters and they'll always be like, oh yeah, you and I put something different on number 5. And I'm like, how are you able to see that? Like, it just blows my mind. The second thing is the ability that people have to read fast. Even when I feel like I am doing really well and reading fast, the person next to me is always reading 2 to 3 times faster than me, and I genuinely don't know how people can think that quickly to even read that quickly. Like, it blows my mind. The third thing is the ability that people have to know for sure without a doubt that they made eye contact with someone across the room from them. When I can tell when someone is looking at me in my general direction, but I never know if they're looking at me, the person next to me, the person behind me, and so I'm always very insecure to make the assumption that they are looking at me, and so I try to be a little bit more, try to look for more obvious indicators that they are, you know, talking to me or looking at me, which is why it's very helpful when people actually say my name to get my attention, because I just can never tell for sure without a doubt that I'm making eye contact with someone. The fourth thing that amazes me is the ability that people have to look in other people's car windows or house windows. Even where I live, there is a house that has a Pillsbury Doughboy sitting in the window, and so every time we pass it, everyone points it out and looks at it, and to this day I've never seen it because I cannot see inside their window to see it's sitting there. And so it amazes me that people can, and even, you know, people will look into the car window next to them like, oh look, there's so-and-so driving, or oh, that person's singing to themselves or whatever, and I just can never see inside well enough to be able to tell what's happening or what's going on, and so it amazes me that people can. The fifth thing is the ability that people have to read the board from so far away. It always amazes me when I'm sitting in class and the teacher calls on the student in the very back row and they start reading like the paragraph that's projected on the smartboard, because I'm the person who's in the front row who still can't even see it and make out what it says, and so the fact that someone who's so much further back than me can just amazes me. The sixth thing is the ability that people have to scan a room filled with like hundreds of people and find their one friend. Like the fact that people can, you know, look into a parking lot and find their one car. It just amazes me that they can distinguish each individual person well enough to find, you know, the person that they're looking for, because everything kind of looks like a big blob when I'm looking at it, and I have to be I just have a lot of anxiety when it comes to going into like a public place trying to find my friends or my family, because I do not have enough confidence in myself to know for sure that I'll be able to do that. The seventh thing that amazes me is the ability that people have to see animals like when they're driving. And so oftentimes I'm in the car, so I'm like, oh look, there's a deer, or oh, there's like a wild turkey, and because we're driving so fast, it's the majority of the time that I can't see it. I will say there are times that I am able to see it, whether the deer's just really close to the side of the road or we're going slow enough or whatever it may be. But if we're going fast and it's kind of further out, or it's just we just drive past it too quickly that I don't have time to really look for it, I'm just so surprised at people's ability to quickly spot those types of things. The eighth thing that amazes me is the ability that people have to see so specific and like tiny details. It really amazes me that people can sit there and like pluck their own eyebrows and see each individual hair and see the ones that are out of place and that don't belong, because again, I can see the general shape of my eyebrows, but when it comes to like trying to pluck them or fill them in, I can't see it detailed enough to know to be able to do like a good job at those things. So it amazes me that people can see like so tiny specific details. The ninth thing is the ability to just like identify cars. It kind of goes with the same thing about not being able to see specific details. Like I can see big picture type stuff. So unless the car is just specifically unique, like my sister has a Kia Soul, which is a very unique car that I feel like it's easy to identify, but in general I'm just like, I mean, it looks like a car, it looks like a truck, and maybe this is a common problem, I'm not sure, but I feel like because I can't see always you know, the label that gives either the name of the car or the brand of the car or whatever it is, I'm a lot of times clueless when it comes to identifying types of cars, which is why I have a lot of anxiety when it comes to getting like an Uber, because since they're not marked cars, I would have to kind of be able to identify, you know, I mean, color is pretty easy, but then it's like, is this type of car? Is it that type of car? I have no idea. And because I can't see inside, I can't always see who's driving, and it's just a whole mess. So the fact that people can do that is just absolutely amazing. The 10th thing that amazes me is the ability that people have to identify celebrities or friends when it's not in that like context, or you know, people that they knew years ago, the ability to recognize them after like 10 years have passed, because I know people in a very general basic sense that I'm not 100% positive until the person like introduces themselves sometimes that I know who they are, because you know, I will know, okay, yeah, so-and-so has brown hair, brown eyes, light skin, is tall or whatever, and I can take those descriptives to associate them with, but that also applies to a lot of other people. And so when people are telling stories of like, oh, I was walking down whatever boulevard and I saw this celebrity, I'm always like, how do they know for sure that that's who that was and not just someone who looked similar? And so the ability that people have to just recognize faces so quickly, especially when it's not in that context. Like I'm almost positive if I walked by even like my own sister, my own mom in a store in a state where I wasn't expecting them, I would not think it was them because I wouldn't associate them with being in that area, and so I would just assume it was someone who looks similar. And then, I know I said I had 10 things, but I did throw in one bonus thing that amazes me about perfect eyesight, and that is that the ability that people have to hold their phone or hold their computer so far away from their face and still be able to see. Because when it comes to screens, as you guys see, my phone is always very close to my face. I sit close to the TV. When I go see movies in theaters, I like to sit in the first few rows. Because the ability that people have to sit so far away from something and still see it, or hold their phone, you know, down at their waist and still be able to read it, absolutely blows my mind, especially because I have all my text enlarged and it's still difficult for me to see. So the fact that everyone has their tiny text and it's so far away, it blows my mind. So those are the 10 plus 1 bonus thing that amazes me about perfect eyesight. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Leave a comment, start some conversation, and I will see you guys next week.
Day to day I'm blind to see and find how far to go. Everybody got their reason, everybody got their way. We're just catching and releasing what builds up throughout the day. It gets into your body and it flows right through your blood. We can tell each other secrets and remember how to love. Da da dum da dum dum dum.